Hi everyone, my name's Daniel and today we are looking at the mistakes in the Єдиний вступний ispit. Before we begin, I should tell you that English subtitles are included in this video if you need them, so don't forget to turn them on. Last time we looked at mistakes in the normal ZNO test, and Nastya, one of my former students in Odessa, suggested analysing this exam as well. I'd also like to say thank you to Yelena, my colleague, who shared the test with me so I could have a look at it. So thank you, Yelena. In terms of mistakes, there aren't as many as in the school leavers ZNO. So although this video won't be as long as the previous one, I've decided to include both перша зміна and друга зміна to make it worthwhile. There are some mistakes in here which are pretty terrible, not only about spelling or grammatical issues, but questions where there are two correct answers and even questions where none of the answers are correct. So let's start. We begin with перша зміна, and this is from task 5 in use of English. Here we are focusing on the sentence which contains question 25. This whole sentence is a bit of a mess. The first issue is with the expression carrying out flavours. This does not collocate in English, and I can't even think of what the author was trying to say. The bigger issue, however, is not one of the adjectives really collocates with the word flavour. According to the answer key, the correct answer is D, definite, which I would argue certainly doesn't make sense here. I think this whole sentence would need to be rewritten as something like Ceylon tea is a brand of its own, including a variety of flavours which embody the true spirit of all of the regions of Sri Lanka. The sentence as it is doesn't really work, so this is an unfair question. Still in task 5 from the use of English, there are a few things to look at here. The second sentence is a bit of a mess given the way the two clauses are used to construct the sentence. It would be much more natural to rewrite as two separate sentences or using a relative clause. Something like, the health benefits in tea are numerous, of which the most important is its antioxidants. The style of this whole paragraph is very inconsistent. In the first sentence we have tea is a beverage preferred by many, a reduced relative clause in the passive, which is incredibly formal. However, in the last paragraph, we have the phrase, it is packed right where it's grown. The use of right in this meaning and the contraction its are much more common in informal texts. The final error here is the expression heart diseases. Whilst the word disease is countable, it is almost never pluralized when collocated with heart. It would be much better here to just say heart disease. Continuing in task 5, and here we come to the first big problem, question 32. There is quite simply no correct answer to this question. According to the answer key, the correct answer is C, experience. However, in this situation, experience can't be correct because it requires an article. If the question were written as each product means a unique tea drinking experience, then that would be correct. This kind of question is what really annoys me because a question has been set which is impossible to answer. None of the answers here are grammatically correct, and so this question should be void. On to task 6 about Mary Kingsley, and here we have a very similar mistake to one of those which we looked at in the school leavers ZNO. The problem is at the end of the second line with the comma that construction. This is a non-defining relative clause, and so it is not possible to use the word that in this construction. Here we should say set off for West Africa, which was still largely unmapped. We now go on to druga zmina and task 3 of the reading, US Camps for Kids. We saw a lot of problems with the inconsistencies of using British and American English in the school leavers ZNO test, And this was highlighted even further after I was told that British English is the standard in schools. Here, the texts ostensibly should be written in American English, as the texts are supposed to be from the US, but all of the texts use the British spelling of the word counsellor. In American English, this word only contains one L. In the penultimate sentence, we also have the phrase, puts the tape on the door for the camper's protection. At this stage, tape is not shared information. It is unknown to the reader, and as it is uncountable in this context, there should be no article. Still in task 3 of the reading, and there are a couple of issues in the second sentence here. Firstly, the camp is located on 6,000 acres. When we describe a location in this way, we would normally use the preposition in instead of on. In addition, we should say pine forest without the s plural at the end. This is because the 6,000 acres implies that the forest is one contiguous object, and so it needs to be singular. Again in task 3 of the reading, and the mistake here is pretty awful. If we look at the penultimate sentence, we can see Chelly Camps has 5 horse riding rings. Horse riding ring is an odd collocation, but it's just about okay. However, Chelly Camps has is unforgivable. Given the context, I'm assuming they wanted to say Chelly Camp has, and so they've written the plural instead of the singular. Otherwise, it should be Chelly Camps have. Either way, it's not great. Finally, away from reading task 3, here we're looking at task 6, Baldwin Street. There is a kind of surgic here of British and American English. Here we have the word meters written in British English. In American English, the spelling would be M-E-T-E-R-S. However, in the last line, we have the word candies, which is a uniquely American word. In British English, and as far as I'm aware in New Zealander English, this word would never be used. We would use instead the word sweets. Finally, we come to the text predicting hurricanes and possibly the most infuriating question on the test, question 41. Here, there are 2 grammatically correct answers. The answer key tells us that A, providing, is correct, which is one possibility. Providing is an active participle clause replacing a relative clause, so there are no issues here. However, the test setters seem to have failed to realise that C, provide, also works here. In English, we have the construction have something, do something. This shows that we cause the object to do a particular activity. For example, I had the robot clean the floor. In other words, I caused the robot to clean the floor. Here, it could be understood that the agencies caused the systems to provide the data, and so it could also be inferred as a correct answer. So these are all the mistakes I was able to find, and although there aren't as many errors as the school leavers know, there are still some pretty terrible mistakes. I'm deeply appreciative of those who take the time to learn English. It's really not an easy language, and I just think tests like this make everyone's lives more difficult. It can be very demotivating to do a test, not know an answer, and then only realize afterwards that it was not actually your fault for not knowing. It was due to the incompetence of whoever made the test. The tests have to be checked properly to ensure that this does not happen again. Thank you as always very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm actually going on holiday this evening to Lutsk for a couple of days, so I'll be posting the next video after the weekend. So I will see you all then. Bye for now.